When we talk about home espresso, it's impossible not to mention the Breville Barista Express. For more than 10 years, it has completely dominated its category. But today, is it still the reference? That's what we are going to see today, with a few surprises along the way. Hi, I'm Colin, and you're on Cafe Lista, the independent channel dedicated to coffee and espresso. So today, we are going to talk about a true icon, the Breville Barista Express. I have had the chance to use it for a long time, and I continue to test it regularly to compare it with the new machines entering the market. What's fascinating about the Barista Express is that for many, it was their first real espresso machine, a kind of getaway into the world of specialty coffee and espresso at home. But the market has evolved enormously since it came out. New technology have appeared, prices have changed, and above all, consumer expectation, I think, may no longer be exactly the same. Let's talk about what still makes the Barista Express successful today, and believe me, there are several reasons why it remains relevant now. First, its value for money remains very good. I have tested machines quite as expensive sometimes that don't necessarily perform much better. So here, for around $700, you get a very capable machine. And this is especially true now with its price that tends to decrease, and you can also easily find a second-hand machine. The quality of extraction is pretty good, and with a good coffee and proper settings, you can make really tasty espresso. The grinder does a pretty good job. Yes, it has some limitation, but still, to start with, it's pretty good. What really distinguishes here, it's a semi-manual control approach. The Barista Express lets you experiment. You can use it in a semi-automatic way, where the dose will be exactly the same, or you can also use it in a more manual approach. When properly adjusted, it allows very good extraction, and I find it really suited for a medium to medium dark roast. Now, in terms of versatility, the machine remains competent. The steam one may not be the most powerful on the market, but it does the job correctly. We have a decent rotation that facilitates pitcher positioning. Let's talk about heat-up time, usually around 30-40 seconds for espresso, 1 more minute if you want to use the steam one. It is average and it's sufficient for home use. Speaking of accessories, that's another strong point. Here everything is included from the start. We have a 54mm portafilter, the different kind of baskets. The grinder is included. So basically, no need to spend more money at the beginning, where you can still buy a scale that's really recommended and a knockbox. But you get the idea here, you can start right away. Finally, and this is perhaps one of its greatest assets, the user community. Look up any problem online and you will find dozens of solutions tested and approved by other owners. I think this collective knowledge here is an amazing value, especially when you are starting out. Before we continue, I have a message for you. Do you want to understand the art of espresso without complicated terminology? I have created a comprehensive guide that demystifies the perfect extraction, from grind to the extraction time. And it's easy. Click the link in the description to download your free guide and transform your morning coffee right away. Nothing complicated, just practical tips that work. It's free, it's comprehensive, and it could very well change your morning espresso. Now that we've seen the strength of the machine, we need to talk about the Barista Express's limitation. And let's be honest, today some are starting to show. The first thing to understand is that this machine won't hold your hand. So it's not really a limitation per se, but unlike new models like the Barista Touch or more recently the Oracle Jet that guide you through each step, here you're somehow on your own. And I have seen many beginners pulling their hair during the first week. You know, coffee flowing too fast, too slow, not enough crema. Here you need to adjust, you need to experiment, you need to try again, you need to waste a lot of coffee. It's educational, but it can be a bit frustrating when you are starting out, especially if you are not aware of that aspect. Now let's talk about the steam one here. So it does the job, but let's say it takes its time. If you're preparing several milk drinks in succession, it can become a bit frustrating. The thermoblock here could be a bit slow. The grinder tends also to retain some coffee. It needs to be cleaned regularly. And this is normal, and this is the disadvantage of hoppers like this on a semi-automatic machines. And then there is the noise. The grinder here isn't particularly quiet. I measured between 68 and 70 decibels during grinding. To give you an idea, that's about the noise level of a vacuum cleaner. So if you have sensitive sleepers at home, this could be an issue. A final point that might hold back the more passionate, the technical limitation. No customizable pressure profile. For most users, this isn't a problem. But if you start getting passionate about extraction subtleties, you might feel a bit limited. Let's now talk about alternatives. The market has evolved a lot since the Barista Express release, and there are now very interesting options depending on your priorities. The first option, that is I think one of the best, is the combination of the Bambino Plus and the Baratza Encore ESP. I have extensively tested this combination and it really changed the game. Why it's a great combination? Well, first, the Bambino heats up really fast in 3 seconds. The machine does a pretty decent job at the pre-infusion. But what is really interesting here is the Baratza Encore ESP. It's a grinder specifically designed for espresso, while keeping the ability to grind also for other methods. In my test, I obtained a more consistent extraction. Another plus, this combo will cost you $150 to $200 less than the Barista Express. So of course, you will lose the semi-automatic aspect, but if you're ready to make this investment, the cup quality is a level up. Okay, this was for a more manual approach. Now for something more automated. A second very good alternative here is the Breville Barista Express Impress or the Touch. Imagine the classic Barista Express with an intelligent system that helps you dose the coffee and temp perfectly every time. So that could be exactly what beginners need. The coffee is consistent and the learning curve is less steep, but it still allows you to switch to manual mode to experiment. Of course, there is the Oracle Jet, but this is a different category and a different budget. An interesting challenger appeared recently, I'm sure you know, the Ninja Luxe Cafe. So its big advantage, the versatility. Here, everything is automated. The machine will help you setting the grinder correctly, and it can make espresso, filter coffee, even iced drinks. For someone who likes to change and something automated, it's attractive. The price is also really accessible. But be careful, if you're really passionate about espresso, you might be a bit disappointed. The automation works really well, but it could also leave you wanting more when you want to adjust your settings properly. The DeLonghi Specialista also deserves mention. It offers a similar approach to the Barista Express. The new model has better automation. The construction is solid, it's rather intuitive to use, but nothing really new here. Finally, there is also the new KitchenAid. It's a beautiful machine. If design is your absolute priority, it might seduce you. The functionalities are similar also to this one. And there is something important we need to talk about. It is learning. If you're coming from a capsule or a bean-to-cup machine, the Barista Express here might seem a bit intimidating at first. And that's normal, but that's precisely where its beauty lies. This machine really teaches you what espresso is. Each morning could become a small lesson, and at first you'll probably mess up some coffee. And believe me, I speak from experience. But little by little, you start to understand. You notice that when the coffee flows too fast, it is because the grind is too coarse, and so on. All that to say, don't be fooled here by the word semi-automatic or by the grinder included. It will often take a few days, weeks to get the hang of it. And it's freedom of experimentation that makes all the difference. So, is the Barista Express still relevant today? For me, the answer is yes, but with some nuances. For someone who really wants to understand espresso, who likes the idea of learning and progressing, it's still an excellent machine. Its value for money remains really good. It's robust, well built, an amazing community of users, and you have everything to make a great espresso at home. However, if you're looking for something more automated, faster, the new alternatives like the Barista Express Impress, the Touch, or the Ninja Luxe Cafe might be more appropriate. And if you want a better extraction and more manual control, the combination Bambino Plus and Baratza Encore ESP could be more suitable. And I'm curious, what do you think of this machine? Is it still relevant today? What was your learning journey like? And if you're still hesitating, ask your question, I'll be happy to answer. As usual, I wish you an excellent day. See you next week. Ciao.